killed many ponytail palms due to overwatering, or you're not sure why your ponytail palms keep dying, you're at the right video. There's a lot of you who asked a lot of questions on how to water, and so I commented back, half a cup like every 2 months, right? Okay, well that's the neglectful way. So when we all go to Home Depot, Lowe's, any outdoor store to go buy a ponytail palm, they always feel moist when you get them, right? And you see the guys watering with a watering wand, and he's really watering, right? Because those plants sit outside and they dry out faster. These plants come from a greenhouse that's usually outside, but it's shaded. I'll post a picture. And so they're used to being outside and drying up quickly, and the people who water them just go by and water them really, you know, heavy, and the water drains out. So when we buy them, we take them home and we keep them in our house. Well, these plants are used to being outside. So here's my suggestion. I haven't tried this method, but I've done a lot of video studying, and this is what I've finally found the answer to. How do you water and let all the water drain through without overwatering your plant? So when we bring them home, they don't do as good because we hear many times on the internet to water until the water comes out of the holes, and every time we do that, the plant dies, right? And it's an indoor plant. So here's my suggestion. If you buy a plant, ponytail palm or any other plant, get the plant, find a good location for it, not in the AC vent, away from the AC vent, but put a bright window. Let it sit for 2 weeks. Don't water it. It should already be moist from when you bought it. Usually the plants are outside and they water those pretty heavy because it's so hot outside. Well, I live in Texas. I'm not sure where you live, but so once you get it, you want to let it sit for 2 weeks, let it adjust to the new environment. And here's my suggestion to not overwater. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to take the plant and you're going to repot it. And I know a lot of people say, "Woo, don't repot it right when you get it." Well, that's why we let it adjust to your new environment for 2 weeks. So we're going to repot it, and here's the key. The soil that it's in is not good for indoors. It's good for outdoors, but it's not good for indoors. So you need to get a really good draining soil, especially for ponytail palms, and honestly any plant. When a plant wants a drink of water, like they just want a drink, they don't want to sit in the water. So when the water does not drain through all the soil correctly, it just sits in there. You need to make sure you have proper drainage holes. Please, more than one drainage hole. You at least need 5. Okay, so back to the soil. The soil is really important. So cactus, buy some cactus soil, buy some overwatering protection soil, buy some perlite. When you have a proper soil, you can actually water thoroughly, like they say, and the water will drain out. And I can show you one plant that I have where it does that. It also depends on your pot size. You don't want a large pot to where the water has to go all the way down and your roots are only this big and all this soil's wet down here. It's going to take forever to dry her out. So pick a nice size pot that's a little bit larger than what your plant is. You don't want to go too big because then the soil, there's not enough roots to dry up all that water. So soil to root ratio is important, right? If you put a tiny plant in a huge pot, and you pour a lot of water, it's not going to dry out fast enough and the roots are going to rot. So you really have to think. You just have to think garden smarts. And so through my research, what I've learned is that it's all about the soil. And everybody keeps saying, well, water all the way through until the water comes out of the holes. Well, every time I do that, all my plants, they don't do well. And that's because the soil is not made for indoors. So to save your own self, save your own ass. When you buy a new plant, you spend money on that beautiful plant, you want it to do good, you're going to have to Let it sit for 2 weeks in its new location. Don't water. It should be good from wherever you got it from, unless it really needs water. Most of the time when you buy a plant, they're really watered really good, and you're wondering like, well, how is it not dying? But when I water it, it dies. Well, that's because those plants are used to being outside. So I'm going to test this method. I'm going to buy a ponytail palm. Inflation, okay? Everybody's struggling. Gas just went to $5 here in Texas. And I will show y'all, make a video on how I mix my soil and show you how to water the ponytail palm and where the water should be flowing through, right? It should be a quick water. It shouldn't take forever for the water to get down through the sides. You don't want to neglect ponytail palms, or any plants for that matter. I know plants can go without watering, but you really need, and this goes with all your plants, to repot your plants in soil that you trust, that you made, that is gonna drain properly. You don't want your soil to get so dry and so hardened that when you water, the water just goes around the edge and then goes around the outside. You want it to saturate through every time perfectly. You should hear the water like kind of go down through the soil, and you should hear it bubbling. That's a good, well aerated soil to let the water penetrate, go all the way through, the roots get a drink, and it dries out really quickly. If you're watering your plant and doing the method where it goes through the draining holes and 3 days later it's still pretty heavily wet, that's a problem. You need to change your soil, especially for indoor plants. I started with 5 ponytail palms, but I overwatered a few of them really quick. 3 of them, we'll just be honest. I overwatered 3 of them really quick, and that's why I made that video, how to tell if you overwater or underwater a ponytail, because when I overwatered those really quickly, I stopped watering 2 of them, and just to see like if that was the problem, and I finally figured out that like that was overwatering, because overwatering happens very, very quick. In 1 to 3 days, you're like, what's happening to my plant? Why is it turning yellow? Why are the leaves browning? It happens quick. So most of the time it's overwatering. So buy the plant, set the plant up for 2 weeks, then you're gonna make a soil mixture. There's plenty of soil mixtures online, but I will show you in a next video soon on how I make my soil mixture, because you want the water to drain really well. From what I can see, when I buy my ponytail palms, it looks like they're in a lot of like cocoa peat moss, and that holds a lot of moisture, and that's probably because they're grown outside. We get sold plants that are grown outside, and then we take them home for inside and try to replicate what everybody says online, to water thoroughly and let the water come out the holes. And when you do that, guess what? Your plant dies from overwatering, and then you're confused. So I was confused too. So that's why I made this video, so you can now experiment it out with me. I'm gonna try it very soon. I just gotta get a good paycheck. So those are my tips for how to keep a ponytail palm from being overwatered, or any plant at that point. All these plants are grown beautifully outdoors in this nice shaded greenhouse, and then we take them home and kill them so fast because we try to water properly. But I believe it's the soil. So this is why I made this video. Save your own ass and go make your own good draining soil and repot your plants. And don't forget about the pot size. You don't want to go too big. But I'll make a video so everybody can see. But I don't want to make this video long. I have work tonight, so I'm going to end it here.
It's all about your soil, baby.